Hi, my name is Peter Knegt, and I'm here with the director of Something You Said Last Night, Luis De Filippis. Welcome. I saw it, I loved it, it's one of my favorite at the festival so far. Do you want to talk a little bit about what this feels like? It's your first feature, it must be really exciting.
It's very cool. It's kind of full circle because I actually used to be an usher at TIFF.
Oh yeah?
So the very theater that we're premiering in is the theater that I used to clean popcorn in and sweep.
Wow.
So it's very surreal to be back with a film,
Yeah.
a feature.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
For those that don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about what the film is about and what you're trying to sort of express by it?
Yeah, so Something You Said Last Night is a story about a family that goes on vacation, and we're basically with them for about a week of time. The main protagonist is Renata. She's a trans woman in her mid-20s, and she's kind of just going through a quarter-life crisis and trying to figure out what the next step is. She's just been fired from her job. Her family doesn't know. Yeah, she's kind of going through those growing pains of like trying to be an adult while still allowing your parents to be your parents.
And the actress that plays Renata, Carmen Madonia, she's one of TIFF's rising stars this year.
Yeah.
She's incredible in this movie. Do you want to talk about how you sort of found her and what that relationship was like on set?
Yeah, I mean, Carmen is a star. I don't take credit for finding her. I kind of like to think that she found us. She walked into a friend of mine's work one day, and my friend came home and she was like, I found the girl. I know I found her. And then about a week later, we got together. I gave her the scene to read without any context, and she just like shone. I was like, this is it. Like, this is the girl.
All the trans stories that I've generally seen, even at this film festival, like Dallas Buyers Club, et cetera, these stories are all told through the lens of cis people or cis straight people most of the time even. So you want to talk a little bit about what your first exposure was to trans people on screen, and if that maybe like inspired you to do what you're doing with this film, which is like incredibly the other direction.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like I didn't even know it, but my first exposure to trans people on screen was like Scooby-Doo in a dress. Okay. And somehow that like spoke to me, and I was like, oh, I see myself in Scooby-Doo in a dress. But then like further down the line, you know, trans characters were characters like in Ace Ventura Pet Detective, where their main hook was that they were trans. That was like the main reason why they were on screen. It was like the big reveal. Like the film was always leading up to like the big reveal of being trans. So I kind of approached this film with just the need to see something different, just like being so tired of like seeing these films from the same perspectives, which is usually the cis perspective, where really what they're so interested in is like the transition story or the mechanics of being trans, or, you know, the coming out story. And it's just like, we have so many other stories to tell. And some of them, like this story, can be quite banal in a way. And to me, that's when we really get to a point of like true representation, where we can have films where it is about a girl on vacation with her family, and that's all it has to be. Yeah. And then she can be trans as well. Yeah. I think it just speaks to our experiences more. I mean, I don't go around every day with this idea that I'm trans and therefore my life is a certain way. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to me in a day is like I drop my phone, which happens a lot. So that's kind of what I wanted to shed a light on.
And beyond having a film at the festival, you're also part of the organizing the Trans Film Summit, which I'm sure, you know, is going to go a long way to doing exactly what you just spoke of. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Trans Film Summit and what you're hoping to sort of achieve with it and what it's all about?
Yeah, so on my film, we ran a Trans Film Mentorship, where we invited 5 trans youth to kind of go through the pre-production and whole production process with us. So they were on set the entire time, and I would say it was kind of trial by fire for them. But I'm really proud of where they've ended up. They're like working like constantly. Some of them are like in unions or working towards being in unions. Some of them have gone on to take like film classes and film studies. And really what mentorship does is it just offers opportunity that wasn't there before. It offers options that weren't there before. So I'm really happy to see where they are now. We've had a second iteration of the mentorship happen on the set of Sort of, which wrapped in June. And so now on Sunday, we're hosting the Trans Film Summit, which is the first Trans Film Summit at TIFF, which is very cool. Yeah. And it's gonna just be an afternoon of of celebrating our successes, talking about what our difficulties are, and really just holding each other up and being like, we can do this. And I'm really excited because T.S. Madison's going to be there, and she's going to be accepting an award, and she's a personal hero. So yeah, looking forward to it.
It seems from my perspective, at least, that in the past 5 years, a lot has changed. Like really, really, you think about Jared Leto winning that Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club, that would never happen now. And that's an amazing thing. But obviously, there's a long way to go. And also, it seems like all this progress is perhaps contributing to, but also in the midst of this sort of violent transphobia that's happening in the media. It's happening from, lots of celebrities that we all know and who those people are. So do you think that this is I'm just curious how you feel about whether or not this is kind of like a reaction to the fact that things have progressed so quickly that there's this pushback from all these horrible people in the world who don't, want this to be happening.
I mean, whenever there's action, there's always a reaction, right? And I think what we're seeing is just very much that. It's a reaction to trans people finally having a platform and finally being able to speak for themselves. So of course, people are going to have a problem with that. That being said, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to keep making stories, and we're going to keep showing up. And I think that's exactly what we should do.
Yeah, I mean, and it's incredible that you're, a part of the mentorship program and the summit, which I think is going to go a long way to ensuring exactly that.
Yeah.
I'm also curious, as you, this is your first feature. Obviously, it's not going to be your last. What's sort of your dream in terms of where your career goes from here?
I mean, just on a basic level, just a sustainable career where I can just support myself and continue making work. I think that in and of itself is a big enough dream for me. I think it's really hard for artists to support themselves and continue making work in the way they want. So if I can keep making work that is authentic to me and keep getting support for that, I'm very happy. And if I can keep bringing people along with me and keep making opportunity available to other marginalized people, then I'm even more happy.
Have a great time at TIFF.
Thank you. You too. It's only day one and I'm like, woo!